Hey everybody, it's Book of Katherine. So here is part 2 for our elections for 2020 primaries. So what we're going to do this year is we are going to replace all the people who are incumbents from our Senate in all of our houses. Now for our representatives, we already put in a bunch of new people and it's time to get them to stay in if they want to stay in, if they have gone to DC or gone to our state and said, yes, I'm still interested in staying in. Or if they have somebody that they say would be a good person to put in instead of them, that they have someone that they're recommending to go ahead and put those people in. So the thing that we are having a big problem with, that it's taken me quite some time to figure out, as you saw, is what day you're supposed to go and vote in your primary. So, for example, New Hampshire just had their big primary, and you're going to see me struggling with this in the next two videos. In part 3 and part 4, you're going to see me struggling with this. And that's why I'm filming this in part 2, because I have figured it out. So here's what is happening, and I'll draw it out for you. Okay, so what they did was, instead of taking the presidential primaries and the state and federal primaries, normally when we were in 2018, we had the state and federal primaries throughout the year. They started in January and they went all the way throughout the year, all the way up to like September, October, and right up until November. So October were like the last dates that we had, right? Okay, so what happened is, for the presidential primary, normally the presidential primaries would occur on the same days as these state and federals. And what they did is, all of a sudden at the last minute, as you saw with like New Hampshire at the last minute was like, oh, and they did it the 25th of November, which is literally Thanksgiving weekend, when no one's paying attention to the news. Thanksgiving, like Thursday, the 25th of November, November 25th. That's that Thursday. So what they did was they said, we're moving these presidential dates up. So the state and federal days are like all throughout the entire year. And they said, we're going to take these presidential primaries that the news is going to be reporting on, the big Democrat primaries or whatever, and we're going to move these, instead of being all throughout the years, we're going to move them up to the first half of the year. And we're going to put them all before June. We're going to move them all up. And so they moved all of them, whoop, right up to here. So now all of them go, and they all stop right at June. There's like this big stop at June. After June, you won't find another single Democratic primary. Like, they all end here, or June, or GOP. They all end at June. Like, the last one is June 6th or something like that. So that's it. All the presidential primaries happen, boom, and that's it. And the reason they're doing that, I guess, is because of the big caucuses. That makes sense. They're doing the big caucuses. But what happens is that when they do that, what they didn't do is change these other ones, these state and these federal ones, to go move them up. Like, what they didn't do is they didn't change these dates at all to move them, to combine them. And that's normally what happens to make it easier for you guys to vote. And so what's going to happen now is, you need to pay attention. Some of the states are combining them, so you vote for both of them. And then some of the states are leaving them so that it's not the same. So you're going to have to start paying attention on what day you're voting for which. So, for example, New Hampshire just had their big primary. So everybody knows New Hampshire had their big primary. They know it's the big Democratic primary, the big GOP primary that happened on Tuesday, February 11th. Everybody thinks, okay, New Hampshire had its big primary. No, New Hampshire's actually they have their state and federal primary. They're having their state and federal primary. Now, you won't find that anywhere. I had to dig really hard to find it out, that they're still having it on September 8th, like last year, or 2 years ago when we did Clean the GOP. And you'll see it when we get to part 4 of this video. When I read out the state, I'll read out what the state dates are. And I say September 8th in there. I actually read off September 8th for New Hampshire. That date is correct. That is when the actual primaries are for New Hampshire. It's September 8th for the state and local and federal and things like that. Now, what's very interesting, though, is when you look it up, say like Wikipedia's page for New Hampshire, it'll say there's just 2 Democrats. It'll say, oh, you have 2 Democratic seats in New Hampshire. It won't tell you that there are Republicans running in New Hampshire. It won't tell you that there are Republicans running in New Hampshire. It won't tell you that the primaries are September 8th. What Wikipedia will tell you is the election is on November 3rd, and there are 2 Democrats that are up for the election. That is what's going on in the press right now. Like, I'll show it to you. It says right here, you look at it real close. Here's New Hampshire, state of New Hampshire, and it says Boom. It does not say the next election is September 8th. No. Even though I'm looking at the representatives, the House of Representative elections in New Hampshire, 2020 United States House of Representative elections in New Hampshire. Does it say September 8th? Oh, no, it doesn't. It says November 3rd. That's Wikipedia for you. That's what happens when you have a site that's paid for. Actually, no. Is this even Wikipedia? What is this? Nope, Wikipedia. That's Wikipedia. Sorry. Oh, gosh, did I just zoom back on it? Oh, that's because I was looking at all 50 states. So let me go back to it. Sorry, because you can't see it. I need to get that. Software for you guys so that you don't see this, so that it looks a lot better for you. There it is. All right, so there's Wikipedia. So Wikipedia is right there, and it literally says 2020 United States House of Representative elections in New Hampshire. Dun 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 dun. Boom. November 3rd, 2020. And what does it say? 2 Democrats. What does it say? How does it say? 0 Republicans. 2 Democrats, 0 Republicans. And only in fine print do you see party last election. That's the last election. Oh, no, honey. Last election, 2 Democrats. No, you said this was the 2020 states. Oh my gosh. So then if you go all the way back, because I had a dig going, you've got to tell me, I'm trying to find these dates for people to go over the difference between, because I was like, are the primaries over in New Hampshire? Like, does New Hampshire have another primary coming? Like, what I wanted to know was, did the New Hampshire primary already happen yesterday on September 11th or on January or February 11th? I was like, did the New Hampshire primary already happen during the presidential primary? Did they already have a primary? I was trying to figure that out. And I couldn't say anything that said it. I was like, oh my gosh, did 2 Democrats get elected? Did Donald Trump really have 118,000 votes and then 2 Democrats got in yesterday? That doesn't make sense. And no, because I kept digging, what did I find out? Oh, look at that. Republican Party declared right there, underneath it, declared you've got these 2 guys, 2 people, Matt Mayberry and Matt Mowers. You got to be kidding me. Matt Mayberry, U.S. Air Force, and Matt Mowers, former executive director of the New Hampshire Republican Party. Matt Mowers, the former executive director of the New Hampshire Republican Party. You've got to be kidding me. And former U.S. State Department official. Matt Mayberry, U.S. Air Force veteran and former Dover City Councilor. How much you want to bet there are others? How much you want to bet that there are others that Wikipedia isn't telling us about? I bet if I went and, look, there's a listing that says potential. Why do they say potential? Potential, declared potential, Eddie Edwards. I went and looked at Eddie Edwards. He has a website and everything. I accidentally found it when I looked up Battlepedia. Eddie Edwards has a website. And William Fowler, state representative. Eddie Edwards, former police chief of Southampton, former chief of the New Hampshire State Division of Liquor Enforcement, nominee of New Hampshire's 1st Congressional District in 2018. That's hysterical. I bet you there are so many other people in New Hampshire. And you know what? Not only that, if it's September 8th, do you know how many other people in New Hampshire must be trying to go for it? Let me tell you something. If there are 7 million jobs added and only 18,000 got in, and if New Hampshire, we watched the video. Remember I live tweeted with you guys? We watched New Hampshire that night as we watched in. We watched New Hampshire live as they walked in or whatever. Did you see all the cop t-shirts? Like, there were a bunch of cop t-shirts stationed behind. And I was like, every single rally I've watched has been Trump t-shirts behind. I mean, granted, I haven't seen a ton of Trump rallies like from beginning or whatever. But I have seen quite a few. I actually know I've seen quite a few now in review, like 2018 for sure. I don't remember ever seeing one that was just like cops, 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 cops. And this is the first time I've seen one where they had the mentally ill, just like Soros wearing it, where the mentally ill were just, where I was like, those aren't cops wearing that. Those are the station mentally ill, like, Jordan Peterson had station behind him, where Soros had his thing where they pay the mentally ill. So we'll take the mentally ill off your hands. We'll pay them 60,000 a year. We'll take care of them for you. We'll take care of them for you, and we'll use them in our activism. And then they just put them out there and they use them as shirts and they stick them in the stands. I think that's a horrible thing to do. I think I would check and see if you have someone staying at a certain clinic, and see if you have a son or daughter or aunt or uncle that you think is actually staying at a clinic. Because I can tell you right now, there are clinics out there that are like, oh, I'll take you up on that. And they think they're sending them on a fun field trip. And instead they're wearing a Cops for Trump t-shirt in the background so that all nation can see it. And then great, New Hampshire votes for Trump 118,000. But guess what? No one knows then. No one knows that New Hampshire has another primary coming up that they need. Now it's February. Everyone thinks they're done voting. They don't know they have another vote coming up 7 months away. Who's going to come out and vote in droves in September for a Republican candidate? And I wonder when the cutoff date, let's find out, because it's going to be hard. I'm going to need to pause this because it's going to take a while. Trust me. June 12th. June 12th, you have time to file in New Hampshire. And boy, doesn't that need to happen. June 12th, but everybody's going to think all the primaries are over. They're going to be done. They're going to be into the presidential race. And let me tell you, New Hampshire, when only 18,000 jobs are getting in over a seventh, like how much was New Hampshire carved out? 1 out of every 4 manufacturing jobs was taken from New Hampshire. 1 out of every 4 manufacturing jobs was taken from New Hampshire. Like that, do you get like how bad that is? New Hampshire got sucked dry. Do you know how much interest there must be from China and other places to make sure that New Hampshire doesn't get manufacturing back in it? Can you imagine how much they're making sure, like, New Hampshire doesn't get jobs back in it? And then when I see just lined up with cops, I'm like, well, I guess the unions are just making sure that doesn't happen. When you just line it up, that scares me. That really does scare me. But I don't know. I'm really wondering why why the cops feel such a need to bolster their image and use the name of Trump to bolster I'm really wondering if it's the sanctuary city policies. They really want you to vote for whoever they are putting in. I swear to God, if they put their name behind a candidate, don't vote for that candidate. If a cop has a picture and their candidate next to it, run. Remember, the cops are the ones that are enforcing sanctuary city policies. Please remember that. Please remember, no sanctuary city policy would work if the cops made a strong blue line across it. It does not, sanctuary city policies don't work unless cops go along with it. Cops are the ones who don't pick up the phone and call. That 92-year-old woman in New York would be alive if it weren't for New York City cops who didn't call and clean him out. It requires cop corruption. It's not the governor. The governor can sign a slip. But it requires cop corruption in order for sanctuary cities to exist. Like, understand that. So it's just like Donald Trump says, we love cops, just like he says, I love Mitch McConnell. Like, what's he supposed to say? I hate cops. And that's because some cops are really good cops. Some cops really hate this. Some cops really hate it. But the unions, if you look in the lobbying and look at fundraising money, if you look at those things that tell you what lobbyists and what money, when you look at the things that there are actually websites that tell you here. Okay, so like I looked up Representative Ann Custer. She's from New Hampshire District 2. All right. And that is, I believe she's up for it. Of course, she's Energy and Commerce. She's in New Hampshire. She voted against Trump. She voted for Trump's impeachment. And she has cash on hand, $2 million. And of course, it says that who is backing her up? Top contribute, right? They're doing it all in small donations. So like says that the largest donation this year was New Jersey Urology. That tells you something when it's New Jersey donating to her. It's a New Jersey. New Jersey is supporting her. New Jersey, right? A Democrat. It's not New Hampshire. New Jersey. A medical group in New Jersey. Who else? Dartmouth College. Okay, so we've got Dartmouth. Could be anybody at Dartmouth filtering through. Could be China going through Dartmouth. So Dartmouth, that's a college. So, and we also know that Germany is doing everything through the college system. So every time you hear college and you know that's UNESCO, you just have to assume that it's the Nazi platform. And she's got both Dartmouth and Harvard. That's her number 2 and number 3. Worry very much when you've got a university supporting a candidate. And then Patagonia Works. And then it says securities and investment, Democrat, liberal, lawyers and health firms and health professionals. So they are really starting to hide these things. So she only has the second. It's really good to see this. It says they're really changing. It really looks like they're starting to change. It looks like they know that people are starting to look into the ways that they're doing this. It is shocking. She is actually into $3.2 million. She raised $3.2 million in 2014. She's raised $3 million every year. 2012, 2014, 2016, 2018. And then for 2020, she's down to 1.6 million. The year that everyone's looking. Look at that, you guys. Look at their on average over the years. Let's look at this 3.6 million. I really want to see like that. This is bad. So anyway, Open Secrets. Very, very interesting. Real estate, telecom, pro-Israel. 22,000 from pro-Israel. So we're really learning transportation. She's got every single. This is incredible. It's just UNESCO straight across. And you know what she just is? Every industry, the one that isn't there, you'll notice that defense isn't there. You know what's funny is that she's under the category of energy. She's under, this is literally, I'll show you this. This is what's so funny. This is what it says. She's under the category of energy and commerce, right? Oh, shoot, my husband's calling. Hold on. I need to get out of here. So energy and commerce, right? She's under the category of energy and commerce. But when you go into her actual, when you break it down by actual industries, there's nothing under it. That's the one thing that she got. That's her lowest. That's her lowest donation in. Like, that's the one thing she got nothing in. So they made sure that she got, I bet you're going to notice that in the industry that they're in, they're going to make sure that they got donations in absolutely everything except the one thing that their label is. That's exactly the technique they used in the GOP thing that we did. All right, my husband really is calling. So anyway, notice that there's going to be a date. For example, South Carolina changed the normal date. New Hampshire was normally September 8th. They kept September 8th. Not South Carolina with Lindsey Graham. Their date was normally June 12th. They moved it up to June 6th or June 8th. What was it again? Let me look it up. Dang it, I missed it. My husband's really calling. Yeah, June 9th. There it is. Got them all wrong. June 9th is Lindsey Graham. June 9th is the day that Lindsey Graham is. They moved it up 3 days. It was June 12th. They moved it up to June 9th. Definitely need to get to my husband. So some of their days, they just moved a couple days so that you guys will miss it. So Lindsey Graham is so big. Look up Lindsey Graham. Suddenly, this anti-Trump, anti-GOP press is suddenly very positive. And they'll never mention the primary on June 9th. They won't say that at all. They'll only mention the Democrat people against him and November 3rd. That's all. Go ahead and look it up right now. They'll be like, Lindsey Graham is gearing up for the fight of his life. Boom, boom, boom. November 3rd. Nothing about the primary. That's why he's gearing up so much money with 117 backers, because of what's going on June 9th in South Carolina because he's brought in so many German backers and because he hasn't supported Donald Trump. He has blocked Donald Trump. He has said so many horrible things about Donald Trump and blocked him on every freaking thing until, hey, maybe I should impeach him because it's election year and I won't get my seat back. Convenient, isn't it? You know, let's impeach him. Let's make sure that we have an impeachment on the year of our reelection so we can make sure we stay in because we haven't supported the American people for 4 years. So I'm so glad I learned all this. Can you imagine if we went into the election and I still didn't know anything? I'm glad I know about this stuff because it's an important year. Time to just clean everyone out and let's have fun doing it. All right, so that's it. When I read the next two things, the first one, part 3, will be all the presidential primaries. Some of them will be both on both days. Check into it. When I do part 4, that will be all the state and federal days. And go ahead and check in on that. Those days may be different in your state, so go ahead and check because there's always check with your county register. Always check. All right, love you guys so much. Bye. Please donate down below. This has not been easy, and I have a huge MRI this Friday. I'm not looking forward to it. I have to go under. Oh, I'm not going to talk about it. Love you. Bye.